Well, fellas, a bit to make sense of here. From 13 points up at half-time to winning by 3, Rob, doesn't feel so good.
No, it doesn't. We were pretty poor in the second half. We started making poor decisions. Some of our kicking went astray. Our discipline definitely got worse. And we just lost a little bit of control of the game. And then slowly but surely Argentina started coming back into it. And it was a tight finish there. They had an opportunity to kick another drop goal. Ireland were lucky at a couple of breakdowns, potentially not to give away a penalty. But definitely the mood is very different now than it was after the first half.
Well, I mean, worth restating, Ireland did not score after that Joe McCarthy try on 30 minutes, and they've lost that second half 10-0. And it would have been interesting if Albornoz had kicked that drop goal to go 22 points apiece, Shane.
Yeah.
He didn't, and I guess Ireland got a degree of control maybe in the second half of the second half. But really from half-time, I think stadium, even him in here in studio, everybody sensed the slow bleed. Ireland's momentum just evaporated.
They won, but they didn't meet expectations again. And it was by no means a poor performance on the same sort of level as last week against New Zealand, but it was a different opposition, not as good an opposition, to be frank. And they gave a team an opportunity that they never should have had.
Matt?
Oh, I think the first part is Argentina played much better in the second half than they did in the first. They scored a very good try just after half-time, and that was a big momentum shifter. And I felt then Ireland went back into their shell. And Jack Crowley had a very good game up until that point, and then made a couple of bad decisions, kick out in the full, bad pass like that. But young Prendergast came on, the pluses for Ireland. Young Prendergast came on and had a very good game, very impressive game. Jamie Osborne was excellent off the bench, and Clarkson as well. He had an excellent debut. So they got some young guys on there, got some really talented people there, and they did enough to win a game. And while we're being harsh, and we have to be harsh on Ireland, we've got to say that I expected a close game. I didn't expect a demolition. I was quite surprised that Ireland scored all the points they did in the first half. I was disappointed in Argentina's first half, and then they came back a bit. But again, you know, the cliche two halves, game of two halves. Ireland very, very good in the first half, dropped their standards in the second half. Argentina poor in the first half, lifted their standards in the second. It was there to win for Argentina in the end, I think, and they just didn't have enough to do it.
So, Shane, we asked at the top of the show, did you think last Friday against New Zealand was just a blip and a bad day at the office, or maybe a sign of a more prolonged dip? What are you saying now?
I'm not concerned about that. I'm less concerned than I was about New Zealand. I do feel it was a blip. That wasn't a brilliant performance. We've seen similar performances from this side before, and they've been able to raise it. Now, listen, we want something a little bit better. Yeah. Do you know, we want something better. And I think maybe that's the kind of... Sometimes you just need to get a win after you've had a result like you had the week before. There were definitely moments of quality in it. There was, you know, some of the tries were excellent. Individuals played well. I agree with Crowley, played well, but for a very short period. I've got great admiration for Farrell using that bench.
Yeah.
You know, listen, it's one thing to put Prendergast on the bench, and it's another thing to bring him on. So he has real confidence in the players that he picks, and they've now got time. Prendergast looked very comfortable, as you said, Matt. Osborne looked very good. They had long periods of possession towards the end of that second half in the Argentinian half, but they didn't make inroads into it. They didn't take scores, should I say. So, listen, let's expand the data set a little bit, Joe. That's what we need to do. We were very narrow after at the end of the Six Nations, because, you know, we had France from the start, a little bit of slip off in the Six Nations. Then we looked at South Africa again. We thought, how good are these? New Zealand, if you look at the microcosm, you think, oh, we're in trouble. Let's just expand this out. There's another game next week. There's another game against Australia. Let's then assess the overall performance of the team, where they are, and who he's blooded.
That's not how the media works. We want you to declare crisis now. That's what we're looking for. One thing which we can sort of begin to declare a trend, Rob, the line-out is still not working. Really, not the way you think it should be since the World Cup, and including the World Cup, obviously. And then the other thing, There was a period where, up until the last 10 games, Ireland in 30 previous games had just 3 yellow cards. They had 2 yellow cards this evening. They're averaging about a yellow card a game over the last 9 games. And the penalty count is not good either. There's something in the discipline has gone badly wrong.
Yeah, it has. You know, firstly, the line out is something that is constantly a bit of a question mark. And when we do play poorly, we pinpoint back a few different areas of the game and the line out always seems to crop up. The discipline one is not as worrying, but it's starting to creep in now. Ireland have been known as a very, very well-disciplined team. But it lost us the game last week and it allowed an opportunity for Argentina to win this week. And, you know, with discipline, that's just a concentration aspect of it. You're just not quite on it on the evening.
And Rod, that's not giving away necessarily penalties that are kickable all the time. You think, they've given away 5 penalties, they've kicked all those penalties, and look at the effect on the scoreboard. It actually doesn't matter where those penalties are given away. And the perfect example was that game was there to be won. There was a bit of an inaccuracy in the opposition 22, and then they nearly lost the game as a result of it. And if you see almost every penalty that Ireland gave away, there was obviously big yardage take, or there was an opportunity to have a free play. You know, this all takes something out of the opposition
off the hook.
OK,